Yes, hello our viewer out there, our dear farmer out there. You're welcome to Farm Smart, our show where we look at different crops, different animals from different parts of the country and different parts of the world generally. Yes, and today we are going to be looking at Matooke. Matooke, some people call it banana, some people call it ebitoshi, that is in the west. Yes, we are going to be covering Matooke establishment, production and how it is harvested. And today we have brought you a very prominent, a business lady, a doctor, a sports person, Madam Magie Kigozi. She's going to be sharing with us her journey and how she was able to come up with Zuli Modern Farm in Chasa, Gomba village. And you're going to be learning more from her experts, people that she works with at the farm, who are going to be telling us and educating us how to come up with a successful banana plantation. Stick with us. My name is Chris Kitaka Harman. Don't go away. And here we are at the farm, Zuli Modern Farm in Chasa, Gamba village. And we have come to visit our madam, Dr. Magie Kigozi, who is going to be educating us in Matooke or banana plantation, how they're established, how we plant it and how we harvest it. So, nice to meet you, madam.
Thank you.
Yes.
You're very welcome.
Yes, before we talk about how we plant or what, first briefly tell us your introduction, how the journey in farming.
Yes, my journey in farming is very long. My grandfather was a farmer. He grew coffee and he had cattle in Masaka.
Yes.
But still, when we were so educated, we were told you are doctors, you go and work out there. We don't expect you back on the farm. And that is unfortunate because that is the general feeling all of you young people have. You are too educated to be on the farm.
Yeah.
But when I had this piece of land, my husband had bought it. And when I was promoting investment, we recognized that our strong point as Uganda in investment is agriculture. Why? Because we have beautiful climate. The sun shines, but not too much. It rains, but not too much. So we actually have perfect weather. Plus, we have the people who have always been farmers. So it's very easy, like you see Nelson is working. He has always done that, and he knows how to do it. So then we recognize the advantage of being a farmer in Uganda. So the minute I stopped being very busy, when I was very busy, I used to head the Uganda Investment Authority. I really didn't have time. What I did, I planted trees. You can see the trees up there and in other places. So I just planted trees. But I left this piece of land and said, the minute I have time, I will come back and farm. So here I am on 301 acres of land we call it Zuri Model Farm. Our village is called Chasa. We are, the nearest point that everybody knows is the prison. Chitalia prison is our neighbor. Yes, and we have a small village that also sits on our farm called Gamba.
How have you been able to sustain or build this farm?
Yes, it is true. Agriculture is not easy. It's not a piece of cake. We started with the trees. Those were easy. You just plant them. For them, they grow by themselves. We then tried a number of crops. So at the beginning, we tried maize. We found the prices were too low. And also there were pests. I think we had the armyworm at some point, and the price kept going lower and lower. So we dropped that. We tried soya. We dropped that as well, and we have ended up with what you see today. So we have Matooke. There's always a market for Matooke, and we have very good Matooke. We'll tell you how we managed to do that. They are big. They are sweet. They are soft. They are resistant to pests a little bit. We also have coffee, we have chicken, we have mangoes. And then we are trying various crops. So we have Irish potatoes, we have cassava. We are feeding, especially during COVID. When I was stuck in Kampala, that time I was still in Kampala, now I live here. I was stuck in Kampala, people had no food. So I picked up a phone, I called the manager, I said, plant. Wherever we have any bit of land, like you see the cassava there, the beans there, wherever we have land, food. Ugandans need food. So the Matooke was already there, but it is growing. We're increasing the acreage. Slowly we're increasing acreage. But we also have all these other foods that people can eat. We
Yes.
eat them ourselves, but we can also sell the excess in the market.
Our viewers or farmers out there now, they now know that farming is not only for uneducated people like back then.
No.
So everyone can participate.
Yes.
So right now, today we are looking at banana plantation. First, give us an highlight on the tips how to start.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, the very first thing is, have you got the land? Is the land suitable? So our land is good. Our neighbors all have plantations.
Yes.
So we knew ours would also work. But how did we make ours better? The right seed.
Yeah.
It is critical that you have the right seed. This seed is selected. We got our seed from Agrogenetic Technologies in Burova.
Yes.
He is able to multiply. He just takes a little bit of a very good Matooke like this one.
But some people are still confused. Are there seeds or you just cut in a branch and put back in the soil?
Both. They are, for him, he makes
Okay.
seeds. And if you are going to do very big, you may not be able to get the cuttings, enough cuttings.
Yeah.
But from him, you can get large numbers of seedlings, very small.
So which one is better, seedling or the cuttings?
No, the first time we brought seedlings, but now we use our cuttings. So we have all these, they've been taken away this season to plant them elsewhere. But otherwise, we now don't go back to him.
Okay.
We only got the first lot.
Yes.
But the thing about him is you can get any type that you like. They will tell you which type is good here. We bought 3 types. And then you can also, they are drought resistant.
Okay.
He picks the one to multiply, which is drought resistant and pest resistant.
Okay.
So that helps us during those long dry seasons. Ours are able to resist that.
We are still at Zuri Modern Farm. And as you know, in any business or in any farm, there is management. Here I bring you the manager and an expert in banana plantation who is going to be educating us through the different steps of how to come up with our banana plantation. Nice to meet you, sir.
Thank you, Chris.
Briefly introduce yourself to the viewers.
My name is Joshua Achikiriza. I'm the general manager of Zuri Model Farm, located here in Chasa. Thank you.
And right now we are looking at banana plantations. So, as an expert, how do we start?
Well, I will first of all mention that I will talk about this with a business perspective, because we are on a farm that is making money and trying to get profit. And so I'll try to explain as much as possible, but with a business perspective, because I believe that every time someone does something,
the target is business, is money. Yeah.
Is money. And so for you to get the money that you put in, there are certain things that you're supposed to do in order for you to bring out the money that you invested. Yeah, so and I will try to explain the banana project or the banana enterprise on, say, 1 acre, because most people, first of all, don't have a lot of land or the opportunity to have a lot of land to grow Matooke. But at least someone can have an acre, a quarter an acre, half an acre. They can still put some Matooke there and feed their families and sell some surplus. So we'll talk about the basics, what we all know, what do we need to start a Matooke or a plantation. The first and foremost is good land.
Yes.
Good land, I mean fertile soil,
Yeah.
well-drained soil, which is able to sustain the plant as it grows. We'll also talk about the location where you're going to actually grow the Matooke.
Yes.
It has to be an area that has plenty of rainfall, at least 2 seasons in a year, because they will need that water to produce the big bunches and also to give you the suckers that will continue growing. Yes. As the Matooke, as the plantation grows. We'll also talk about the management practices, how you then take care of the Matooke from when you've planted up to when you harvest. We'll talk about the seed. What kind of seed do you need? depending on the locality where you are, depending on the market, what the people want in the market. But as far as I know, any Matooke is good Matooke as long as it has grown well and it's big enough. Yes, so for the soil, we need to have a fertile soil. One that is well drained, one that is sandy loamy would be the perfect description of that soil. Clay soil will not sustain your Matooke because when it's raining, the soil is too wet, the water is all over the place, so the roots of the plant are not able to breathe and take in the nutrients that they like. So they will end up wilting. If it's too sandy, then we have a lot of water going away. As it rains, as you irrigate, most of the water will actually go away into the deeper layers of the soil. So the best soil structure would be a sandy loamy, which facilitates both water retention but also not to have a lot of water in the garden so that the plants are able to grow well. We've already heard from our director how we got the seed, and there are so many ways of getting seed. Our community here are able to afford getting a sucker from our plantation. They may not know about the technology guy in Buloba, where we got our initial seed from. But now that we have the good seed here, we are able to sell or give some to our people here because we know and we trust that the seed is good. When you don't have good seed, then that means that whatever you plant will give you a bad product. Okay. So what you sow is what you reap, like they normally say. And so if you don't use the seed from the lab, where they just get a few parts of the plantation and then come up with a banana sucker, then you can uproot a sucker from a place where you are comfortable with, a place that has no diseases, because you want to grow a plant that is healthy.
Yes.
And then come up with a very nice plant.
So as an expert, tell the viewer or the farmer out there, which one is the best, the seeds or the sucker?
Well, if you are starting and you have a good source of suckers from either a neighbor or someone who is taking care of their plantation well, then it's easier for you to get the sucker. If you're not sure of the plantations around, then I advise that you look out for the people who actually are technicians in producing suckers, because you will get a sucker that is disease-free, that is pest-free, that is made for resistance for so many things, including drought, including diseases and pests, and then your plantation will sort of very well.
Yes, before I ask you about the planting, how many seasons do we have?
We have 2 seasons here in Chasa. Yeah, we have the season of what we are in now, late Feb up to early May. And then we also have the season of early August up to December.
Okay.
Those are the wet seasons.
So which one do you advise the farmer to focus on?
Oh, well, I normally advise farmers to look at the longer season, the one of August to December, because you have more months of rain. Yet the one of Feb, April, May is shorter, and so that means chances are high that your plants might then come and face drought in the months of June, July, and up to August. So the longer rainy season is better, because then your plant is able to get the right amount of water and then establish itself, so that, and then you also have the advantage, because after the December season, then the Feb season is closed, just a month or a month and a half of sun, and then you have another rainy season. So the plantation will benefit well from both seasons when you start from the September season.
Yes. Now, after finding out the requirements, everything you need to know before starting. So now let's get on the ground. How do you prepare the field?
So we are looking at an acre of land for our plantation as an example. We obviously have to do land clearing in case you're starting on a virgin land. You bought your piece of land somewhere in Zirobwe or Namayumba or Busunju, wherever, and it's bushy and has lots of shrubs and all that. So the first thing is to clear the land. Rid it of all the trees, rid it of all the roots, rid it of all the weeds, and have a very cleared land. And then you later on zone out how you want your plantation to be planted. If it's a very big piece of land, you don't have to plant the whole plantation at a go, because then if you're not able to manage it, then it becomes a problem. But let's assume that our 1 acre is manageable and you're able to manage it when you plant all the plants in there. So after land clearing, then you start now the pitting. Pitting is when you dig the holes where you're going to put your plants, your sucker.
Let me first interrupt.
Yes.
When you're using even seeds, do you also dig a hole?
Okay, the seed is not like a bean seed. No, it's already a sucker, only that it is grown in a laboratory. So it comes out when it's maybe that small or smaller than that, and then you grow it, like what you see behind you there. That's how, it's not like a seed.
Okay.
It's still a sucker, only that it is gotten out of a seed through the laboratory. Yes. So you dig your holes, and normally the holes are 2 feet wide and 3 feet deep. That's a standard hole for you.
2 feet wide and
3 feet deep.
down.
Yes. As you pit your hole, you are advised to remove the topsoil and put it aside, because it's the soil that you're going to start with before you put the sucker in. So the topsoil already has most of the nutrients, the microorganisms that are going to help with root formation and development and the plant to grow. And so once you've dug your hole, you put your topsoil aside, and then before you plant, you have your manure somewhere. Have filled your hole with that manure. It could be cow dung, it could be chicken manure, it could be green manure, depends on how you prepare your manure. Fill your hole with half that manure, mix it in well, having put in your topsoil, and then plant the sucker in there. A typical acre would have close to, if you use a 3 by 3 meter.
Actually, I was going to ask you about that, the distance, yeah.
So the spacing is 3 by 3 meters from one sucker to another. Okay. And so in an acre, you typically have about 450, 400 or 500 suckers in an acre. Yes. So that's how you prepare your holes and then plant. And then after planting, of course, you now start the real management now of your plantation, because now you have your 450 suckers in there that needs care, that need to be taken good care of.
Okay.
Yes.
So in the process of growing, before we go to growing, how do you select the sucker? Like, this one will grow well here, this one will not grow well here?
Okay, so for as long as the area you selected is good, then the plant will grow. And then I also talked about getting the seed from the right place. If I come to Zuri plantation and I'm able to verify that their suckers are good, they are not diseased because of the source of where they got their suckers from, then I'm able to plant the suckers from that area. And if I'm not able to verify that, then I could go to the people who are in charge of producing the suckers to then come and give me the suckers, and then I plant. So yeah, as long as the soil is good, as long as you prepared the land well, then you're good to go with the suckers. Yes. So having planted, people opt for mulching, because also when you leave the garden so bare, remember during the clearing, you slashed out most of the vegetation. You weeded, you plowed, so the soil is really bare with no protection at all. And so the reason as to why you may mulch or must mulch is because you want to prevent a lot of soil loss when we get into the rainy season. So you can do your mulching using any suitable mulch. For people who are high-tech, they actually use polythene for mulching, because that keeps a lot of the moisture in the soil and then keeps away the pests that might enter through the soil to go and attack your plant. But for us who are still using our local knowledge, we do grass. We can do mulching using intercrops like beans, mukuna. Mukuna is also a type of bean which is broadleafed. That can also act as a mulch, because what you're trying to do is to protect the soil from the direct heat and sunlight. And then also when it rains, you're trying to prevent erosion through the runoff in the water.
Is there any other recommended fertilizers?
Yes, so if you are not able to get the farm manure, cattle dung or goat, which is actually easy to get, then you could actually opt for the inorganic fertilizers. At planting, you could use DAP, diamine phosphate. It's a granular fertilizer that you use, and it's very good for root development. So when you're planting at the beginning, that's what you put in there, and then plant your crop. Then later on, there is what we call top dressing, where you can then use either urea or NPK or any of those nitrogen-rich fertilizers. But I would recommend that you get the organic manure because it holds longer in the soil. It doesn't leach as fast as the other inorganic fertilizers, and it could even be cheaper in the long run. Yes.
After planting, so how long do it take? How long do they take to grow?
So 9 months is when you'll start seeing a fruit of a banana. If I planted now, in 9 months' time, you'll be seeing something like that.
Okay.
If you can look in the background, you'll be seeing that mpumumpo coming out, ready with the Matooke.
Okay.
And then in the next 4 or so months, you'll be ready with your Matooke. Yes, please.
Yes, in that process, as they are still growing, what do we need to do as a farmer to take care of
So
them?
in that process, as your banana plants or as your plantation grows, I've talked about mulching.
Yes.
I've talked about manuring. You could do another manure maybe 6 months after the initial manuring. We have weeding. If there is weeds that are not desirable, that you feel are going to compete with the plantation, then those you can get rid of. When it comes to disease management, of course, we also have biosecurity when it comes to banana growing, because we know we have the bacterial wilt, which is affecting a lot of plantations all over the place. And so you must be very hygienic and clean to prevent the disease spreading. Remember, you might be practicing very good management of your plantation, but you're not sure of your neighbors. There are people who are not going to care about the wilt in their plantation, and then there's always going to be a crossover. So the person who is working in that plantation has to maintain very high standards of biosecurity and hygiene. We normally encourage someone to have 2 pangas and 2 knives or whatever you're going to use for pruning and removing the dry banana leaves and all that. So that one panga only works on the diseased plants, okay, which are not maybe which are being treated and are going to be okay. And then the other panga works only on the healthy plants. But you also have other measures of having jik on you, or having fire or salt, which also are used for disinfecting the panga or the knives that you use, so that you do not keep crossing the diseases from one banana plantation to another. So hygiene is very, very paramount as you take care of the plantation.
Someone out there would like to know, are there types in bananas? Types of bananas?
Yes, there are very many types of bananas. At Zuru, we have 3 main types of bananas, which I know by vernacular because that's what most people know.
It's okay.
We have the chibuzi, we have the mbwazirime, and the chisansa. Now we selected these because they grow to be big bananas. First of all, they grow very fast. They are resistant to some of these diseases, but also they have a very big bunch.
That is chibuza and chisansa.
Chibuzi, chisansa, and mbwa, and chibuzi, chisasa, and impologoma. Yeah, but we also have mbwazirime. But those 3, I don't know if our people can focus on the plants just up there. We have a very, very beautiful big bunch. Now that is the chisansa type.
Okay.
Just behind you there. It's characterized by a very big, tall bunch.
Most people think that if they see a very big bunch, they think it is nuts. It is for nuts.
No, nuts also looks a different way.
Okay.
It doesn't look like that. You would actually tell nuts from a local plant. Yeah, and then so you'd know that is a chisansa by the finger length and then the size of the length of the bunch. You would know that this is a empologoma because of the compactness and also how, yeah, mostly the compactness. There's one, the mbwazirime is a little bit down there. It's a little bit short, but also big.
Okay.
So for us, we do mainly those 3 because of the size and then also the preference in the market. Okay. Yes.
So what challenges do you face? All the Matooke face as that?
Of course, we have a lot of challenges. The biggest is the wilt, the banana wilt. That one is a challenge for most farmers in the country, and we try our best to see that we maintain a very clean and healthy plantation. As soon as we see any plant that has any sign of banana wilt, we just get rid of it and bury it, because otherwise it's going to cause a lot of infection to the other bananas. We also don't encourage the mpumumpos from growing. The moment it gets to that size, we just snip it off.
But I give more highlight on that. Most people leave them to stay there until when they...
No, so you see, first of all, when you leave it overgrow, it is also stopping the bunch from growing bigger. Because as you can see, for as long as it is attached on the plant, it is eating. Okay, so all the energy, all the food that would have gone into the banana fingers and the bunch,
Yes.
some of it is being shared into that mpumumpu. And but also it's a flower. It's a flower. What you see there is a flower, and so we have bees doing their pollination and all that. Now, should we have plants that are sick in the plant, in the plantation, where bees now come and get their pollen and nectar and all that, and goes onto another plant, which is not sick, then there is high chance of disease spreading. So you make sure that those things are off when they are, and also you don't want to remove it when it's still too young, because then you limit the length of the bunch. Yeah. So the other challenge, of course, is the weather. These days, weather is very unpredictable. When you expect it to rain, it does not rain. When you expect it to, you think this is a dry season, then it's rain. So sometimes it even makes it difficult for you to plan, because every season has activities that go on. The wet season, we are doing a lot of manuring, we are doing a lot of, what you see here as weeds is not actually because the plantation is weedy.
No.
We do it intentionally because this is part of manure.
Okay.
At some point, we are going to come and dig it into the soil so that it becomes a component of the soil. It's going to help with the soil compaction as it rots, but also the organic matter that comes from the rotting will contribute towards the feeding of the plant. So you also can do mulching during the wet season. And then all the other, actually most of the management practices are during the wet, because during the dry season you don't want to disturb the plantation a lot. It's already stressed from the sun, and so you coming with your knife and cutting here and there might not be necessary. So weather would be the other thing. The other thing is, of course, thieves. We have thieves, yeah. Those ones are in every community, and they will always come and steal your plants.
So let's talk about intercropping. Is it advisable or something that steals?
Intercropping is very advisable. And also you need to select what kind of crop you want to grow in your plant, in your plantation. There are things that you cannot grow here, like cassava. You will notice that it is just outside the plantation. It's not inside the plantation. Things like maize, things like pumpkins, all these are heavy feeders, and they disrupt the productivity of the plantation. So instead of adding some nutrients in the soil, they're also removing the little that the plant would be benefiting from. So we advise that you plant or intercrop with things that are leguminous, that are bushy in nature, things like beans, things like peas, things like soya. All those can go in a plantation because, first of all, they are nitrogen fixers by nature. So they will help with fixing nitrogen in your soil, which is then converted into organic manure for the plant to feed on. But they also provide a good cover for the soil beneath in case you're not able to mulch, because also mulching can be an expensive thing. If you don't have grass in your neighborhood, then you have to go and buy from people. So you can just go for beans and I'm going to plant my beans. They will cover my soil, but even when I harvest, I can use the same to cover after threshing and harvesting, I can use the same to mulch my plantation.
Okay. And finally, how do you know that my matooke is ready for harvest?
So you would look at the fingers first of all of the matooke. They are a little bit. They are not as green. There's a deep green where you see a matooke like that, and you see like for it is not yet ready because the fingers are really tiny. Then there are those edges also that you see as it matures, as it grows. And then one that is ready, you would look at the lighter skin of green. It's not very green, it's not tending to yellow, but it is in between there. And then you'd also see the general nature of the plant. You would really tell that it is ready.
So any last tips of how someone can come up with this successful and clean farm?
Well, first of all, I think you would need to know why you're growing your matooke. Is it for home consumption? If it is for home consumption, how much do I need to put in? Maybe probably you don't need a lot of money, you don't need a lot of land. Is it for business? Then what are those things that you need to do in order to run that plantation as an enterprise? So you need to know, and you need to know, who am I producing it for? Do I have a market? That is the other thing. So know the customers where you're going to sell your matooke from, and then you're good to go. Yes.
Wow, thank you so much. Hope someone has learned something from your explanation. Our agriculture sharing doesn't only end at the farm, but after the break, after this short break, we shall be looking more about the market, value addition, and motion that you face at their farm.